celebrate Severance. I mean, how many, by round of applause, how many people, that was the first time you saw the finale? So exciting, so fun. You're here for an extraordinary thing. First of all, every single seat is taken. Every single seat is taken. The support for this show is unbelievable. It's exciting, and I don't know how many times you will get this many cast members, creators, and people to do the show ever in one room. So, are you ready to meet everybody tonight? Please welcome to the stage, Gwendolyn Christie. Cheer for him after you just saw what he did. It's unbelievable that you turned and cheered. Please give it up for Michael Chernus. Please put your hands together for Sarah Bach. And I would never forget to announce this man. Please give it up for Zach Cherry. Keep it going for Tramel Tillman. Tramel Tillman. Might be in the bathroom. We're going to push through. Pretend I didn't do that. Give it up for Patricia Arquette. The gentleman who created, executive produced, the writer of the show, give it up for Dan Erickson. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Scott. And finally, executive producer, the gentleman who directed the finale you just watched, the great Ben Stiller. Ben, should we wait for, is Tramel?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I mean, seriously, he is, like, I know sometimes Tramel goes off the grid.
And is he currently off the grid right now?
Well, I remember, like, after the, at the end of the first season, he had trouble dropping the character.
Yeah.
And
Is that still going on?
Yeah, well, remember, like, we found him working at, like, an office supply store in Milwaukee.
He was in an office supply store. I read about that. It was on Reddit. He was in an office supply store.
Yeah.
He goes deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes, I don't know, maybe he's just decompressing or something, or
That's
maybe
fine.
he's still in character, I don't know.
Alright, so I guess for now, Tramel is not gonna join us. to start. What an unbelievable... When you guys did episode 1 of the show, did you think one day we're going to be here having a marching band go through? Totally. Yeah, of course. I have a first question just for... Yeah, hug every single person in the audience. By the way, if you were watching closely, there were spoilers for season 3, by the way. He greeted every single person. Thanks, we're gonna need those laughs. I'm gonna start off with a question for everybody, and then I'm gonna ask questions to every single person. But the first one is, how does it feel to finally have the finale out there? You guys have been doing interviews and pretending you don't know answers and hiding things. You feel like that everybody knows everything up to date right now. Anybody can do it.
Well, for me, I've come to build my whole identity on secrecy and not being able to open up to anybody because that would you know, open me up to spoilers. So now I don't know. I don't even know who I am anymore.
Right. Now your secrets. Who are you?
Know what?
Unbelievable.
Thanks, Mom.
I really hate that everyone's on board. I like having all the secrets. I like you all being confused and scared.
I'm going to start the questions with, give it for Ben Stiller, everybody. The tone, thank you for shouting. The tone of this show is incredibly unique.
By the way, Ben S.
Big deal.
This is so confusing.
Who's who? You could probably figure it out. The tone of the show is incredibly unique. It's very hard to even compare it to another show, which is probably why we all love it so much. It's so in its uniqueness and how special it is. How did you come up with the tone, and how do you explain the tone to a new actor coming in or to a new director coming in to direct this? And tell me how good my questions are after I answer.
Incredible.
Okay.
Well, the tone comes from Dan Erickson's, mind. And honestly, like the process of making the show created the tone of the show because Dan had written it, and that was we all were, excited by what he had written, and then the designers, everybody who's here, I mentioned before. Jeremy Hindle, Jessica, everybody, we all were inspired by his words and then started to sort of exchange ideas on what it could be. But I think the real tone of the show was defined when the actors came in and started doing the scenes, because the reality of what's going on in that world has to be believed by the actors, and then the audience can believe it. So that to me was when I started to see, like when I saw John Turturro, I think it was in episode 3 of season 1 of the Perpetuity Wing, where John told you about, how important it was to take her to the Perpetuity Wing, and he believed it so much, and I thought, oh my God, John Turturro, I really believe him. And, so maybe the audience is going to believe him too. And the humor came out of what I think was there on the page, and then it's evolved. And when people come on the show, they've watched the show, maybe, directors or people who, have seen what we're doing, but honestly, I think it's sort of there for interpretation, and if you cast the right people, both, as actors and in different roles on the show, people are going to bring their own personal ideas to it, and their idea of what the tone is, and that helps create what it is in its own.
That's correct. That was the correct answer.
Thank you.
When you brought up humor, and I think I wanted to ask this question as a fan of the show. When do you choose to do a big comedic moment? Because this drama has moments of Milchick dashing out of the room after Dylan, or like you killing someone by mistake as your innie, or like the Chicago. Whose idea was to put the Michael Jordan version of the Chicago Bulls intro music? So are there episodes where like those moments are so comedic, and oftentimes when you see dramas or suspense things like this, you don't feel that. How do you choose when to insert that? Is there some episodes where like we did that too much, we should back up? What does that feel like? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many moments like that where, you know, we'll modulate it after the fact. Honestly, I think that the Drummond murder I originally pitched as a joke. I was like, we were really tired, and I was like, maybe he just severs and accidentally kills him. And Adam was sitting across the table and was like, that's what we're doing. Like, that is now canon.
Yes.
And it was.
I mean, I think things come up. I feel like, you don't want to like kind of try to plan stuff out, but first of all, just watching it, I just have to say, for all of us, I speak for all of us in that watching it with this audience has been one of the most special experiences I've ever had connected to the show. We don't ever get to hear those laughs, right? You watch maybe with a group of people or something, but we don't ever actually hear real laughs. So to hear like a laugh and like when Tramel runs out of the room, or those I mean, that's so exciting.
So funny.
For us to be able to, you know, see what it connects, and people pick up on the smallest things, which is great.
Oh my God, this is a great transition. Dan, I have a question for you. Dan Erickson, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Is there a small writing choice that you made that ended up influencing the show in a far bigger way than you thought? And the inverse of that, if my question is stupid, is there a path that you almost took that would have changed everything, but you guys diverted it?
Oh wow, that's.
Or just make up your own question. Who cares?
No, that's a really good question. I think that it's fantastic. I will say that the character of Milchick specifically was a character that in the pilot I was like, okay, he's funny, but he's gonna be sort of Cobell's right hand, and I don't know if we'll carry him through. I don't know if he'll become like a major character. Hear me out.
Crazy that he just had a marching band moment. And that's interesting.
Yeah, but the line where he says, I think it was the line like, "You and Petey were one of my favorite office friendships." I think that was used in the audition. I could be wrong, but it was one of those, and it was a line that Tramel read so perfectly that suddenly I was like, oh, that's Milchick. And now he's one of the most important characters on the show.
Wow, amazing. I wanted to ask you this question just because I feel like a lot of people here are either actors or people trying to get on stage or writing or directing. You had a temp job. We don't have to go too deep, but what were you doing when you literally thought of the idea of this show, just to inspire everybody in the audience?
Well, I was working at in a basement office of a small windowless basement office of a door factory.
Anybody working in any door factories here? No, that could have been the next.
Worried my old bosses are here.
No.
They're gonna cap me like Lincoln.
I have one more question before Houston. You're talking about Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln? Yeah. Oh, Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, that's too fucking soon. Yeah. That's crazy. That's honestly crazy. I just heard that Apple is not giving you a season 3 now. This is crazy. I am so sorry to the 3,300 people here. Last question, Dan. I've read interviews about moments of the show that you have envisioned since the very beginning. One of those was the outdoor episode where they go on a retreat.
Yep.
Are there things this season that were in your head, or how about this? This is an even better way of saying it. Are there things you haven't done yet that you have those visions of that you know are going to occur? You don't have to say what they are, but are there plans, the seeds that have been planted before you started writing this that you haven't gotten to yet?
Yes.
Yes. And then
Multiple.
multiple. Don't say them. It's not worth it. Adam Scott. Love it. Serious question to start off. How much did you work on your dancing in the season 1 party scene? Because I'm trying to find a nice way of saying it. The contrast between milkshake dancing and being so goddamn silky smooth. And then we go to Mark S. I was going to say Adam Scott, but that was Mark S. dancing. So this is honest.
So what are you saying?
My question, sorry, I should finish my question. My question is, how much thought process went into that? Sincerely, I really want to know. I have a real question that makes you use your brain in the next one, but for this one, it's like, because I've watched that, and people watch it, and they're just going nuts, and then it's just, my man is going for it. So how much thought process going in that, and how many different versions of that did you do? And then I'll ask you a real question where you can talk.
I don't know if there were other versions. But I think it was the kind of thing where I didn't really think about it because it was like, no matter what, this is going to be embarrassing. So I'm just gonna wait till we're shooting my single where I have to do it by myself, and I'll come up with something, and it's going to be embarrassing. And I think that, and then whenever I did it, Ben just laughed at that, especially when I started doing like this. Do more of that. Do more of the thing where you're stepping and watch that forever, and it's so stupid.
A lot of people are calling it the new Elaine dance.
Makes sense.
Adam Scott from Party Down, I have another question for you. I want to know everything. I want to know, sincerely, I texted and called you the second after I saw the finale. I am blown away by the acting. Everybody is so good in the show. The quality of actors. The direction. But I would love to know, because I was so, that's the scene where you're talking to yourself with the camcorder. For me, when it started, I was like, well, how are you going to keep this interesting for 5 minutes? And you just had me for every word. I could not wait for the other version of you to pick it up. And I know that's incredible acting, incredible writing, incredible directing, incredible editing. But what was it like to, I have a couple technical questions, but I want to know what it was like to do that scene. And then my assumption is you probably, when you did one side, you got to use that voice for the other. But who are you running lines with to play with yourself at the beginning? Two new lines. To act with yourself.
I think that I made tapes in my apartment, or I made videos in my apartment on my phone, and maybe we used those at first.
Yeah, we were rehearsing. I know we had you record each side on your phone.
Yeah.
Right, so we had it.
And you had copies of that.
Yeah.
On the.
We were rewriting that scene.
Yeah.
Up until like the Friday before we shot it on the Monday, and then we said we had to stop so that Adam can learn the lines.
Yeah.
Yes. No, but we rehearsed it over and over. We went through it and we're
Every time
massaging
we
it changed. We were changing it right up to the last minute, and then doing it. I think that while we were doing it, it was something I was dreading because, like you said, it could really just not work. And I think the key was that I was trying to do is provide an array of options. So when Ben and Jeff were cutting it together, they could do, kind of have different ways to go and ways to kind of make it feel like a conversation. And they really got the scene together with it.
It was awesome. The scene is
and
unbelievable. Do you have, because you got to do it right next to each other, do you have, this is like someone asked what your favorite character is, which I think is the worst question to ask, but do you have one version, the in or the outie, that you're like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this version again, or no, to you both are exciting, it doesn't matter? You're like, oh, I can't wait to play outie or anything.
I guess in that scene it was I was interested in the moment that Audi Mark like kind of fucks up.
Yeah.
And pushes a little too hard and is just a little condescending. I mean, not he gets her name wrong, but also he's just a little.
Yeah.
And that was fun to kind of find that. Yeah.
I love it. Britt Lauer, everybody. Now you have to do that for every fucking person. or else you're all Mr. Drummond.
Ben, my heart is racing because your stack is so thick.
I know, I gotta get through these fucking things. I gotta get through this thing. Okay. Rick, what's your favorite letter? No, okay. Okay, did you answer?
No?
What is your favorite letter in the alphabet?
B for Ben.
Thank you very much. Okay. I didn't read. I heard that you take 11-minute naps right after lunch. True, false? We're gonna fly through this, okay? Is there anything else that you do in preparation for these characters that you do every time in a precise manner? And I'm asking if there's a different preparation for Helena, Helly, or even for Helena pretending to be Helena.
Actually, Zach's going to answer all of my questions.
Great. Zach Cherry, do you know the answer?
I have a bag of trail mix in my pocket.
This is a good time. Zach Cherry is sponsored by Trail Mix. You want to do your commercial?
Before I answer, I think for Brit, it's really about, you know, the vibe.
Yeah. Britt, correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. We'll keep moving. Here we go.
That's why I forgot to introduce him.
Zach, because you know he's going to do this. You are sponsored by Trail Mix, correct?
Sun and sweet trail
Here we go.
mix.
Here we go.
Nuts and seeds, roasted and salted. Net weight 1 ounce.
This is crazy. He does the Severance podcast one time. He starts doing commercials anytime he starts talking, right?
I do have something significant to say,
I would hope so.
which is that Zach and I have a podcast
This is good.
about. We actually do.
This
It's
is
about
good.
food, and we often, before takes, this relates. We talk about food, and something interesting is you'll notice in season 1 that Heliar likes eggs. Helena doesn't like eggs.
God, that was my next question. Can I ask you a specific thing just from the turn of you playing a character, playing another character, to me was so exciting, and then also I was like, fuck you guys. But it was like, it just made me so, I was like, oh my God. If people were to look back at your performance when you were playing Helly, what could people look at now if they went back to see like, oh, you're tipping it off a little bit. Maybe you didn't see it the first watch because you weren't aware of it. But if you watch now, I was doing some cool shit that now, some of that. Don't give that to Zach. Please don't give that to Zach.
Okay.
Eggs.
No. Look how big this stack is, Zach.
No, I feel like our viewers are the best detectives in the world because they found all of them.
What's
Didn't
one
you?
of the big ones that you kind of did, or the ones that you're proud of?
One that we kind of talked about a lot was the computer, turning on the computer. And we went back and forth. We filmed it where she got the computer turn on button quickly, and then we got one where she had to kind of search for it. And remember, Ben, we were like, is it too much?
Yes, I do remember that. And my favorite little Helena moment is in the tent with Irvin.
Okay, moment where you're,
Yeah. And that's one where there was debate about, oh, is that getting away? And I was like, no, that's like the most amazing acting moment I've ever seen. But at that point, it was sort of like, I think even if people were onto it, that was what was interesting about it too. Because,
Yeah, and it was right kind of before she is exposed anyway. So it
Yeah,
was fine.
right. But I think that whole thing, like people picked up on, for me watching, I was really surprised how quickly people started to question that. But I think it was also a great sort of thing to debate, you know, for audiences.
I think one of the things when we think about shows that we like this is we love debating, we love trying to figure out what's happening. It's almost like me when I watch Magic. I'm so desperately trying to find out what it is, but I don't ever want to find out. Like I was like, oh, I want to know he does that trick, but I don't ever want to find out. But enough about me.
That's
Sarah
why
Bob.
it's so fun doing magic tricks for you.
Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Sarah! Sarah, true or false, right now is your college spring break and you're missing it to be here with all of us.
True.
Are your friends in Cancun or something like that?
They are in
It's always Cancun. I don't know why. It's always Cancun.
cooler than.
Okay, that makes sense. You were 15 years old when you got this role. Unbelievable. What was it like for your character to have authority over actors that are twice, 3 times, 12 times your age?
Gosh, so scary.
Has to be.
Oh my gosh, they're so cool, and like John Turturro was so tall. And I would have to stare him down and like, oh my gosh, this is
Okay, so it was like when you get in there and you're doing scenes, or if you're talking back to Milchick, who is your boss, was there, I mean, you have such confidence in this show for someone so young to come in with such confidence, and also like for someone who just gets thrown in the mix like that, that's an extraordinary acting moment, which you should be it's pretty incredible. So it's I have one other question that I was thinking about. Maybe you don't know the answer to this, or maybe you do. If not, you can invent it. But what do you think your character's like when she's done with her internship? Because she would probably be in high school, right? Should I shut up? Do you think about that stuff, like before you're doing these scenes? Take me through that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wonder what she would be like if she was just like a normal high school student and she wasn't at Lumen. I think she would probably be like in the band, like her theremin still.
Yeah.
And would she have friends her age? Questionable. Maybe she should learn some social skills. But yeah, I think she would have a good time not at Lumen.
Alright. Well, happy spring break. Happy spring break. Did great. Deishan Lockman? Your standalone episode is such a special episode of television. So yeah, and the director and the cinematographer.
Yeah, Jessica, are you here?
Yeah, go Jessica, that's correct. I'm in love with that episode. It is such a difficult task to come in and play. How many versions of yourself did you play? Do you have the exact number of how many different innies? How many different innies that you played of yourself?
Well, I guess there was like 5. The dentist, the Christmas, the airplane, and Miss Casey, and then Gemma.
So what do you do as an actor before entering those rooms to give each character a different specific, a different feel, so they feel like different characters?
I feel like there are so many fingerprints on all of those innies, like the work that hair and makeup and the production design, and like all of that helps, you know, and the circumstances of it and where she's feeling that tension. It's like, I mean, so much of the work is done for you because of the amazing attention to detail that the crew and, you know, the leaders of the show put into the circumstances. And so you just have to walk in there and sort of be. So I can't really take so much credit for it because, you know, even the attention that went into the wigs and the costumes, it was extraordinary.
It's amazing. Absolutely. finally have that wonderful moment, that beautiful moment that I feel like I didn't realize how desperately I wanted it, and then how you so quickly took it away from me. How dare you? But I want to know about that final scene between those three characters, what it was like for you three to film that, what it was like for you to flip between finding the love of your life that you've been missing, and then switching people, and then having the other love of your life behind you. What it was like for Helly, I'm assuming it's Helly, maybe I should shut up, I think it's Helly, yeah. I'll say Helly and we'll shut up. And then so for that last moment, what it was like for her to see the love that he had for someone else, and then him kind of letting it go away. If you guys could talk about that, but like with not a lot of time, that would be great. Because I mean, hurry up.
I guess on the surface it looks like a triangle, but if you know me, I love talking about shapes. And, it might be a tetrahedron or a hexagonal prism.
Love it.
And so, to add complexity, maybe in that last moment, Heliar is, it's love at first sight, seeing Gemma across the hall.
Have to take it, I guess. Unbelievable. And then what was it like for you, and then for you, Adam, to play so many different versions of finding and losing love in the span of what to us is minutes, but I'm sure that was a sequence that took many days.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was hard. It was exhausting. It was right at the end of the shoot, so we were all kind of depleted and tired, which was good for the scene, I guess. But it was heartbreaking because Deacon was really pounding on that door for hours and hours, and
oh no!
And it was awful. It was awful to see her there, and what Gemma has come to mean to all of us and everything. It was just heartbreaking. But I think for any Mark at the end of the day, this is someone he doesn't know in that way, and he crosses that threshold, and the life might be over, he doesn't quite know, and he's madly in love with Helly, so he had to make a choice for a few different reasons.
What do you think your character saw when you see Mark as kind of having to make a decision? What do you think your character is even thinking? Because she has no idea what is going on in that moment. What did you feel banging that door? How are you trying to make sense of something that, to the viewer, we're understanding is so inside of, but for you, that character is having this first moment of understanding?
Yeah, I think initially she's just very confused, and then very quickly realizes that, he's probably gone through this procedure when she sees it. I mean, it all has to happen really fast, and then I think ultimately she's just trying to get through to him, like break through that barrier, but sadly she fails.
Give it up for Jen Tulloch and Michael Drew. Multi-camera sitcoms, raising that baby.
We're right now.
Coming this fall.
It is coming this fall. Okay.
22 episodes, NBC.
Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. Great. All right, no worries, no worries. I'm going to start with Jen. Oftentimes, to me, you feel like the voice of blunt sanity. The person who points the finger, says what she really means, and isn't quick to trust anyone. This makes, I'm not an idiot. Great. Okay, so what do you think made your character finally trust Cobell, even though you were against everything she represents for 2 seasons?
I had a very angry cousin in my inbox asking me this very question.
Okay.
I don't think she does trust her. I don't think she trusts her as far as she can flick her. I think she's in a moment of abject desperation. When people say that if a parent sees their kid in danger, they could flip a car, I think this is her flip a car moment. I think she's watched Mark in danger. I mean, it's a bit figurative to her in season 1, but it becomes literal. And then I think she watches her kid get kidnapped and then unkidnapped, I suppose. But then when she finds out what she does about Gemma, I think she's just ready for blood. And so I think she knows it's this plan or no plan, and she just is flying on instinct alone.
I love it. I have a question for both of you, and then Michael, I have a question for you. How do you think you guys met? How did these? In my head, I was like,
Shows on NBC.
oh, we could find out on NBC.
It's a funny story.
I can't wait.
It's at a key party.
We both went home with other people, but we weren't just...
They seem so different and unique, and it feels like it works. Do you guys ever talk about that? Like, how did we meet, or why are we a couple, or stuff like that?
No.
And again,
You can
pass
two
to Zach
people
Cherry
in
whenever you
private.
want.
It's private. No, behind closed doors. No, I think we've talked about it a lot. I mean, one of the things that kind of drives me crazy is when people say, like, I don't understand Devin and Rick. And like, have you ever been to an airport and seen people together? You've never met a couple in your life? Like, they're weird. Opposites attract, right?
We're also
Right?
like a moment in time. I think there was probably a moment where maybe they did try a little harder to keep up appearances. But you know, you get to the point where you fart in front of your partner, and it's all over. That's it. They're well past that point.
Well, that's a question I had for Michael and Rickon. What do you think this character is like when he's totally by himself? I feel like we see a lot of scenes where he's putting on, no, for real, like when he's putting, like, he wants to be liked. When you say that's an attribute of your character?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I see him when he's around people desperately wanting to be liked and really trying to stand out when he can. What do you think this character's like when he's by himself? And there aren't those other people to try to, like, turn towards him and be like...
I mean, I actually think he's pretty anxious and worried, and I think he cares a lot about what people think of him. And like that scene at the end of season 1 where he says to Mark, like, I know how I come across. I think he's actually probably kind of lonely, and I think he's like trying to fill a real void.
Wow.
Great. I love the scene in episode 7 where we see Rickon and Gemma and Mark and Devin having dinner, and you see a much more at ease Rickon and Rickon and Mark really kind of getting along, and everybody. It's you really get a peek into Rickon and how much the Gemma's death sort of shifted things.
Learn about him laying cool laws.
That's right. That's correct. Zach Cherry, everybody. Self-proclaimed dream baby right out of the womb. I've heard in an interview that you thought your dream, Good baby. Good baby, not dream baby, understood. This is something, so we come from the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, we come from the same improv theater. I always get a strong, I am always rooting for comedians when they're in dramatic roles to fucking crush it. I get so excited when I see a comedian take a dramatic role and show everybody that we can do this too, and you've done an incredible job of proving that we can do this too. Do you look forward to the dramatic scenes? Are they stressful to you? What do you feel like when you have some, I know you're a zone, and I call it math sometimes when you're a comedian, you do comedic scenes like math. When you see drama and it may not be like math to you, what is your feeling?
Yeah, it is a little stressful. I think especially stuff this season was stuff I haven't really been asked to do before, but the trust that I have in everyone on the show in terms of the scene partners and the trust that Ben and the other directors have put in me made it a lot easier.
I like it a lot. And then can you take me through the emotional scene of your innie asking your Audi's wife to marry him, because that story is so beautiful, the paper ring is so beautiful, and then also the follow-up question to that is, how different sexually do you think your innie is to your Audi? And you can answer that in any way you want. And you can give full-on detail. But the first part of the question first.
I'm pretty focused on the last.
Yeah, of course.
What was the beginning?
The first part of the question was, take me through the emotional scene of your innie asking her Adam's wife to marry.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, I think Innie is so naive that he thinks that's a real possibility, that like this woman would come and live in a basement with her children. Him, and he's being completely earnest, and I think this is the first time he's been in love, and it's kind of like anything seems possible. So for him, I think in that moment it feels like a real possibility, and then her, who has lived in the world, it's so obvious that that's not a possibility, and there's that kind of immediate heartbreak for you.
My last question is, when you're writing a letter to yourself, you as an actor or you as a person, what did you feel more emotion doing? Writing and doing the VO, or receiving the letter? God, these are great fucking questions, guys. Right, Ben? No.
In terms of sexually?
If you don't mind. We'll start with the real answer, then you have to give sexual.
You know, I think receiving the letter.
Yeah.
For sure. That was an exciting challenge.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. Give it up for Dari Olafson. I have so many questions for you. One of which is,
so misunderstood.
what is it like playing a character that is so shrouded in mystery? And do you have more information about your character than we, the audience, do? Like, do you know stuff that we don't do, or do you have to invent stuff while you're going? Because so little is known about your character. We see it through your actions, but so tell me a little bit about that.
That's a great question.
Fuck, yeah.
And by the way, a lot of good questions.
Oh, thanks.
I think there's stuff that I definitely don't know. There's stuff that I think I know. Of course, I had conversations with Ben and the other directors and with Dan. But in the end, as an actor, you always have to bring a whole person. And especially when you're playing a smaller part, then you have to kind of bring the backstory and everything into it. So, yeah, I think, you know, in many ways, I have my own opinion on who he is and what he represents. And, yeah, he's not the nicest person.
What do you think the realest version of him is? When he's attacking, do you think that's really him, or do you think when he's restrained? Do you think he's a monster, or like, what do you feel like he really is?
I don't think anyone's a monster, but I think we get to see the real him when he confronts Mark in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I think he represents, you know, he looks at certain people and he doesn't really consider them people. He is above them. He is better than them. And I think you see that. He despises some of the people he's working with, talking to. And, you know, and that wasn't easy. I mean, I really love these people. and I was a huge fan of the show before it came on. And it's not, you know, it wasn't fun to, especially with Jamel. Just again and again, we had these scenes where I was just being such a asshole. But that's also fun.
I have a question about the fight scene. Does it terrify me that I said fight scene and someone's like, fuck yeah! Sure. But for Adam, for Dari, and for Gwendolyn, although my most important question will be for you at the end, so I need you to get ready for it, if possible. And we are together as one, and we are ready for it, and it's at the end, and fantastic. But for right now, I need to know what that fight scene was like, because for someone who, I know I'm very skinny and Jewish, but I've done a fight scene or two, and it's like, the thing that blew my mind was the hallways are so small. Like they're not, it's so, to do a fight scene in that small of a space, to me, in my head, I was like, and also this looked like it took days. So just so people who may not understand, anytime there's stunts, anytime where an actor can get hurt, or anytime when there's blood, or you have to redress or stuff like that, take us through what that fight scene was like for your characters, what that fight scene was like, and what it really takes to do something like that. And did any, I hope nobody got hurt because everybody looks great now. Don't tell me if anybody got hurt, I don't want that to be surprised. But I just want to hear about that if possible, and then at the end, of course.
Well, I think for me, like, basically the first thing we did was I slammed Adam into the wall for real.
Yeah.
And that was a bad day.
On purpose?
It was, no, it was, I fucked up the choreography.
No, it was not it was my fault. Because Dari was swinging me around into the wall, and I was supposed to get my arm up to kind of, to kind of absorb the shock of hitting the wall. But my arm got caught behind, so I hit it with my head.
No!
Yeah. And after I stopped filming and everything, and Ben came over, and I was like, I think I'm okay. And the first thing he said was like, you know, are you okay, everything? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be okay. He goes, well, it looked great.
That is in the show,
It's in there.
of course. And then Gwendolyn, for you, what is it like for your character to make such a strong turn in that moment? What did that mean for your character? Question, you're gonna have to do it again.
I loved the fight scene. I loved it. As I have said, I deliberately chose not to do anything involving any kind of combat after Game of Thrones. And then, unfortunately, one day I got a phone call from Ben Stiller. And he told me about this fight scene in Severance, my favorite TV show in the world. So I just said yes. And I found I still have a bloodlust.
You're bringing up Game of Thrones is so funny because then I'm thinking it's Brianna Tarth and Mr. Drummond beating up Ben Wyatt, which is so funny. Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec getting his ass kicked by someone from Game of Thrones is maybe his fantasy. By the way, the marching band thing at the beginning, you crushed it. It was amazing. You're incredible. All right, my nerdy question as a fan is how
The answer is no. The answer is no.
Okay, of course. How did you tackle Milchick this season as compared to last season? Because this season I feel like he's juggling so many different emotions and responsibilities. So I'm so curious about how your character's involved and how you just tackle him now when he gets so much more shit coming at him.
Well, he's moved up. He's in charge now. It's his fault, you know. And what we see is that he's now in this new position of leadership, and we see how it sits on him. And just like most people who have dealt in middle management, you get so much more shit thrown at you, and you know you have to be able to wrangle it.
Do you feel like your character has an end goal? If he gets more serious and takes on more, do you think that Milchick is thinking like, man, I gotta get to here. I want to get to here. And you're just making your way up the ladder. Does your character think like that?
I think he's very ambitious. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
this is a man, from my perspective, that is in service of Lumen. He's committed to it. You know, what is interesting about this season is that we're starting to see a little bit of the cracks. We're starting to see more of his humanity.
Yes.
Because he's learning more about the company. You know, those paintings.
Isn't it crazy that someone had to draw those paintings in real life? I think about that sometimes. It seemed like a problem.
It's like nightmare fuel.
Because we don't see an innie or an outie version of you. We do see different versions of you as the cracks are coming. Everybody's such a great actor on this show, and it's like, but to see you start cracking, do you feel like there is a purest form of Milchick that we've seen? Is it when he is having one-on-one conversations and he is in charge? Is it when he is dancing and he looks like he's having so much fun? Or like, is it when he's sticking up for himself? Like, what do you feel like for you in those scenes? What do you feel like, oh, this guy, I feel like this is the guy?
I don't think we've seen it yet.
Patricia Arquette. As someone who loves cinema and television, how exciting to watch someone at your level thrive through decades of incredible work. So it's unbelievable. We get to see Cobell's backstory in this season. I was curious when I was watching it, how much of that backstory were you aware of in the first season, because you're an executive producer on the show as well. So how much were you aware?
Did you hear that?
I did. And so how much of that were you aware of? And were you, while you're playing your character, did you always kind of know she was a genius?
Well, yes. First of all, I do want to say your questions are really great.
Oh, great. Oh my God.
Yeah, there were things that these guys told me early on that I thought, oh, well, when is this going to come out?
Yeah.
And it took quite a long time to get there. But yeah, there were things that were there. I didn't know some of the things to quite that extent, but from almost the beginning, you were telling me about her growing up in school, the Egan's, and how, you know, this town was impacted, and the ether, and her mother, and the breathing tube, and a lot of aspects of it. So it was nice to get there.
Yeah. Are there things, don't say it, are there things that you know about your character that haven't been revealed yet? Please, obviously don't say it, but are there things that you were told? But again, don't say anything. Please don't say anything. But just say, I just want to know yes or no, but not saying a word. Like, are there things that you still have that you're like, I know this, but we haven't gotten this yet?
I would, you know, in real life, I try to be very honest.
Well, don't.
But with character, I will lie, cheat, and steal, no matter what. Even if maybe I do know a whole lot.
That's great.
But I would lie to you about it. Yeah, don't count on me.
How did you feel about your character finally turning on Lumen? And what did it take? What was the final straw for your character to really make that change? Because
Did I?
Did I?
We shall see.
Okay, then this is a question I truly want to know. What do you think?
Too bad.
No, the second thing is going to be, what do you think Cobell does for fun, on her fun days? Like, because I see her like this so much.
Dolls. Don't lie. Dolls I play with.
Mostly dolls? Alright.
Leave me alone. I bake cookies. Maybe not the greatest, but I have lots of skills.
She de-ices her stew.
You do de-ice your stew.
You de-ice your stew.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very well.
She seems really fun. She seems really fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Gwendolyn Christie, everybody. What the fuck is happening with the goat? And I have 7 follow-up questions. You don't have to say if you don't want to, but what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening with the goat? No, you can't say.
Everyone's out to be a goat.
Everyone's a goat?
I made it.
Okay.
Something
I do have a question though. When you're doing those scenes for a viewer, we are like, what is happening right now? Are you like that as getting the script at that moment? Are you feeling that as well, or are you were given enough information to be like, oh, okay, I know exactly why this is happening. I know exactly what this is about.
No. No. And I find a great freedom in that, actually. As someone that used to demand all of the answers, I found actually a huge liberation in not being given really anything at all. Genuinely, in a wide sense, and it's a great lesson for us all.
So you were a big fan of the show before you did the season?
Obsessed with the show.
Obsessed with the show.
And I was so angry I wasn't in the show. I meant this, and I think I terrified him because I said it with such intention. I meant it, and I mean it now. But when I watched season 1, I was my mind was blown by it. I'd wait for my boyfriend to go to work, and then I'd shut the curtains, and I'd watch Severance at 11 a.m. on a Friday, and I'd say to the dogs, you've got to be quiet, you've got to stay in the room, you've got to be quiet. Sometimes they make noise and things on the screen. I don't know if that's deliberate, but anyway. So, and then I'd watch it again because I was obsessed with it. And then I got obsessed with Adam Scott's hair. So I take pictures with my iPhone and zoom in to see if I can see a wig line or a root line.
I think you just worked your way into their multi-camp sitcom. But as a fan, because we're all fans of the show, what's some of the things that you nerded out with the most when you got to set? You're like, oh my god, I can't believe
Oh, I was pathetic. I was just reduced to the status of a sort of a fool. I was a gibbering wreck. I saw a vending machine and I got terribly overexcited. I really did. And then I couldn't really behave normally in front of, I mean I can't anyway, but I couldn't behave normally in front of really anyone. And sort of swooning over Brit Loud. And trying not to have jelly legs around Adam Scott. But honestly, it does mean a huge amount to me because a show as original and fresh as this, with this amount of tangible passion and intelligence and real depth of heart behind it, is so rare. And I'm in awe of everyone involved in the show. And it is a dream. Thank you so much for having me.
guys want to say there are 3,300 fans here right now.
Thank you to all of you for being here tonight. We'll never forget this. It's amazing.
No, you guys are truly the last step in the creative process. The art and the theories and the discussion that you bring to it is truly, to me, it's a massive part of what makes this show work. So thank you, thank you, thank you.